Indiana Jones is back. It's kind of getting a very mixed reaction based on in social media. Some are saying that as bad as it was at the time, Crystal Skull with Shia LaBeouf probably had a better ending and was probably the appropriate send off for this character. And there are those who are kind of like, we love Indiana Jones. We don't care what you think. The movie's good. It hasn't had the response box office wise as they expected. They were expecting about 100 million opening weekend. So far, it's only turned a 60 million dollar profit in the box office.
I've only heard negative things about this movie, so I don't know how that's gonna work out for them. It's interesting because like once Mission Impossible comes out, like that's gonna do big numbers. And that has been going on since I was a child.
Yeah, Indiana Jones was not something that was always in culture, like say like what you said, Mission Impossible, or James Bond, or even short-term Jason Bourne. So. But on the ongoing world of Hollywood strikes, SAG-Aftra and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers have agreed to extend their current TV and film contracts.
I was hopeful initially because the president of SAG-Aftra, which is Fran Drescher, who knew, was like, yeah, we're talking and things are going really well. And I was like, great. And then this letter came out with about 2,000 actors like Jennifer Lawrence and Meryl Streep and like Mark Ruffalo, like very top people, saying like, no, we're going to strike if we don't get substantial, changes met. And I was like, okay, well, that's not good. And then the deadline was getting closer and closer and there wasn't any news. And I was like, please don't do this. Because I think one thing that we're noticing, and we'll really see it like later next month or later this month when you have Mission Impossible, Barbie, and Oppenheimer coming out. There's not really much press. Like you can't really do interviews like you do. I mean, you can do it overseas, but here the late night talk show is like how people move their movies around. Like that's what's getting people excited about like seeing these films. And these films are going to do well regardless. Like, it doesn't even matter. They don't even need the press, to be honest. Like, people are going to go see them. But I do think that when we start getting into, like, fall, winter, when people are really, like, campaigning for movies to be nominated for stuff, if you don't have those options or those outlets to really get your movie out there, especially for a smaller film, I feel like that's really going to hurt the movies. I was like, please, I was like, can we figure something out, please? And then they extended it to July 12th. And I was like, okay, alive another day, I guess. But one of the issues that I'm having is like, why is AI such a stronghold for the producers? Like, why does it mean so much to them to keep it? Because I really do feel like that's probably the reason why these negotiations haven't reached a conclusion.
Like we've seen, we've seen a bunch of movies just digitally take actors' appearances. We've seen it recently with The Flash. It used Christopher Reeve's appearance.
I heard about that.
We've seen, Italian dessert commercials using Audrey Hepburn's face when she was younger. So they're already instant, and we've seen even with Star Wars. Grand Moff Tarkin, Peter Cushing, he died. They brought him back for Rogue One digitally. And it's things like that, like they're gonna try and word these contracts to where we own like your name and likeness of this character so we can use in perpetuity whether you're dead or alive. And I think that's supposed to be one of the things actors are concerned about, because then at least they're a state with nothing because of the way the contracts are written. And for the studios, it's more so, well, I don't have to pay the actor. I own your likeness. I have digital recordings of your voice. I can make an AI say all your dialogue. I don't have to pay you anymore. The millions of dollars I spend on you. Oh, you want 20 million for this movie? Oh, that 20 million could be diverted to all the other departments as far as like my VFX and my sound. And I don't need and do motion capture like they've shown is possible with Avatar and all these video games like God of War. Like, I don't need to have the actor on set. I can have anybody else mocap and pretend to be you and digitally insert your voice in it. So
You guys don't know how to budget your films correctly. Like, you're spending so much money on these movies expecting that you're gonna match your box office and then get more than that, which would actually cover all of your costs.
yeah,
But you're putting your money in the wrong places. These like Netflix action movies where it's like it could have been anybody else casting the role. You probably could have gotten them from cheaper. No one saw the film anyways, and you're paying them like $45 million. You know, maybe rethink where you're spending your money instead of trying to like cut corners and like not pay actors. So yeah, anyways, in conclusion, I am definitely on the actor side. I will be personally sad if they go on strike just because like that means we don't get to see them for a while. And as a person who is doing this, loves pop culture, like it'll be tough on my spirits. It won't change anything in my life, but it will, it's not ideal, I guess. And it won't be ideal for them either. I feel like for the bigger actors, they have the security net of money. So like they don't actually need to do these things. But they're not the only people who are in the union. There are other actors who are like doing commercials and stuff like up and comers doing smaller movies. And this will have an impact on them for real. So I hope that they can figure this out. I hope that the writers also figure out their stuff because they've been on strike for a while. But I do like the solidarity that everyone is bringing. Like I saw photos of like Tom Cruise holding up a Barbie and Oppenheimer ticket because he's going to go see both of them. And like everyone's really excited about both of those movies, even though they come out on the same day. But everyone's being like super supportive of each other's films. And I think that that's really cool. So I like whatever's happening now where everyone's kind of like joining together instead of being super competitive and like you're over there and I'm here. Hollywood is not doing well right now. Like
no. Hollywood has created the problems that are happening in Hollywood are self-inflicted by these producers. Did you like that clip? Well, you can listen to the entire podcast because the 16mm Film Crew podcast is available on all major podcast platforms.